Hey friends, Amy with Passings here. Who is on your healthcare team? I'm asking everyone that question. I ask myself that question all the time. This is a question for each of us, not just those of us with a chronic condition. Each of us has a healthcare team, whether we know it or not. Even if we never go to seek professional medical care, we have a healthcare team. And what I've seen in myself mostly and in other people I support through these last 20 years is that we often are a little unaware of who is on our healthcare team, how it functions, and we forget that we're in charge of it. We get to design our own healthcare team. We've got a lot of people who need to be on there, a lot of people who don't need to be on there. We have people who are perhaps playing roles that aren't correct for them on our healthcare team. So we've created this series of videos, there are 5 really short ones, to help you find out who's already on your healthcare team and maybe reimagine it. So grab some paper and something to write with. Eventually, I'd love you to use markers for the next videos. Today, you can just use a pen for this part. But we want to be really creative for the next 4 videos where we're reimagining our healthcare team. And I find that markers or crayons or something with color helps us tune into our creativity a little bit more. What I want you to do now is pause the video and just make a list. Who is on your healthcare team? Cast your net really wide. Make a list. Who's already on your team? When you're ready, come back. Okay, so you got your list. I'm going to use the word team here, and that might imply a baseball team or a basketball team or some other kind of athletic team. And if that metaphor works for you, that is super. But I want you to know that you get to decide what metaphor to work with. So you might have more of an orchestra for your healthcare team. You might have, some people really like to use words like fight and battle, especially when they're working with cancer. And so you might have a battalion. You might have a really well-working fancy kitchen with a chef and lots of sous chefs under that person. You could have a dance troupe, whatever you want. So that's your assignment before you start the next video, is to think about what you would like your team to resemble. And it's important. It's really important what you choose, because that will help you determine, what do you think the work of this team is? Is it just to keep you kind of functioning? You might want a certain kind of team. Maybe that's a group of engineers on a train. If it is to change your relationship with your health, you would kind of want a different metaphor to use. So think about, what is your healthcare team needing to do in service of you and your wellness right now? That'll help you come up with a metaphor. Once you come up with a metaphor, it would be really helpful for you then to know, using that metaphor, how does this team work together? What role do I want people to play? Always remembering that you're in charge. So if your healthcare team is an orchestra, I'd like you to be the conductor. If it's a baseball team, I'd like you to be the manager. You might need to call in lots of help with that job. That's totally fine, because you're imagining it. You get to create it however you want. I want this, I hope for this, pray for this, for all of us to be an exercise in really owning our own wellness and being able to pull together the kinds of support we need and to get rid of the kinds of support that actually aren't supportive. So for your first assignment, before you go on to video 2, I want you to just spend some time. Maybe it takes a couple days, maybe it takes a month, for you to continue to add to your healthcare list of your healthcare team as it is now. As you go through your days, oh yeah, I forgot to put whoever on that, add that person to the list. And I want you to spend some time making a blueprint of how your team already functions. And then you get to be imaginative. A whole new sheet of paper, Imagine how you'd like your team to function. And here, I don't want you to think about any people in particular yet. This is your model of how you want your team to function, because we're going to start with your perfectly suited to you model of what you want. From there, we'll create and we'll call in who you want to be on that team. But for now, in your imaginary team, what you're going to create, I give you permission, myself too, I do this all the time, to imagine, what do you want your healthcare team to provide for you? How do you want them to be in support of you? My invitation is to draw a little picture, again, with all kinds of colors. Make it your own. You don't have to follow anybody else's guideline. This is about you and your health and wellness.